Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Frances Fraser. Let me put my video on. I am a portfolio manager at the USAID Trade Hub, at the USAID Southern Africa Trade and Investment Hub in full, or USAID Trade Hub in short. A warm welcome to our webinar on organic certification in the cosmetics sector, where we will be sharing a whole lot of information, but importantly, lessons learned from companies that have been through this process. I'd like to ask all participants if you could please mute and also put your videos off, just so that we don't have distracting images in the background. And I will try and also make sure that my dogs do not distract the proceedings. So welcome again. I would like to particularly welcome Daniel and Pauline from EcoCert, who are partners with us on this webinar, as well as Dagmar Hornsbein from the Namibia Network in the Cosmetics Industry, Nancy, and members of Nancy. Just to set the scene, this idea emanated from a request from Nancy, so we're really pleased that it's reached this point. We have more than 70 different people registered for the session today, so I think there's still people joining in, but it just shows that there's an important need for us to talk about the process of certification and various areas which we'll explore together. I would like to, first of all, introduce our Deputy Chief of Party, Mr. George Makore. George is at the helm of the delivery of our work as the USAID Trade Hub. He's an expert in the African Growth and Opportunity Act, having worked across the region to develop different strategies with different governments across the region. And he leads our technical team and the delivery of our work plan. It gives me great pleasure to welcome George to introduce the USAID Trade Hub. Thank you, George.
Thanks very much, Frances, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, friends. If we have anyone who's joining us from the other side of the pond in the US, good morning. Of course, yeah, we do have our long time partnership friends and colleagues from the South African Consulate General in New York. If you are on the call, we welcome you. I also want to welcome, in addition to everyone else, the team from Namibia Network of the Cosmetic Industry, as well as our friends from EcoCert. I've been asked to just share with you or get you to know, for those that are joining us for the first time on this webinar, or we've had a few of them. So if you have been on the previous webinars, please forgive me for repeating what we have told you before in terms of who we are and what we do. But the main reason really is that so that you get to know what our role is, and we can to enable us to continue to engage going forward. So the USAID Southern Africa Trade and Investment Hub, USAID Trade Hub, as Francis pointed out, we are a USAID funded project. We started off as a 5-year project, which started operating in October 2016, and we now have our mandate extended in terms of the period or the duration of the project to end next year in September. So we are now a 6-year project. Until recently, as recently as last month, we were operating in 8 countries across the region. We've recently started operations in Angola. So we now have we now operate in 9 countries, led by South Africa, of course, Angola, as I've just mentioned, Botswana, Eswatini, Lesotho, Namibia, Mozambique, Malawi, and Zambia. Those are the 9 countries that the project covers. And what do we do in those 9 countries? Our role really is to work with various firms and governments to increase sustainable economic growth and competitiveness and trade in all those countries in the Southern Africa region. And we are mainly guided by 3 objectives. The first objective is the one that looks at increasing trade or exports from the region, from the 8 countries into South Africa. And in this objective, what we look at is the demand in South Africa for products from the region. The thinking behind this is that South Africa is a big market with a number of requirements in terms of products for local consumption, as well as raw materials for further processing and then exporting those products to other parts of the world. So we work with producers in the 8 countries who would be producing products that are in demand in South Africa. And we link up those producers with buyers who will be requiring those products in South Africa. In addition to that, we facilitate the competitiveness of those products in South Africa by assisting those firms in terms of providing support in the areas of making the products comply with requirements in South Africa. You can see from this webinar that we have today that this is one of the ways that we facilitate that, and we bring about awareness of the requirements as well as support in terms of helping with product certification and such aspects that will help the product to be able to be accepted in the market in South Africa. That's the first objective. The second objective looks at facilitating the movement of capital and technology from South Africa into the 8 countries that we work in. This is really because of the realization of the need by the producers in different countries for such capital. It could be debt, equity, other forms of capital, as well as technology to help the firms to produce products that meet the requirements in South Africa. So we work with potential investors in South Africa who have the appetite to extend their footprint into the other 8 countries we work in. And we then get them to do business in terms of getting that much needed finance. And finally, the third objective looks at working with all the 9 countries to help them take advantage of the opportunities provided by the African Growth and Opportunity Act, which is AGOA. And AGOA is a trade, unilateral trade preference program offered by the US government to sub-Saharan African countries, including all the 8 countries that we work in. And we help governments to start with, working with all stakeholders to develop national AGOA strategies, and then we help the countries to implement those strategies. In addition, We work with all the firms that produce products that are GOA eligible. We are looking at over 6,400 product lines to get those products to penetrate and get to be accepted in the US market. Part of our role is actually to identify potential buyers in the US and potential suppliers within the region and the countries that we work in, so that there can be trade going on to take advantage of that program. That's what we do in a nutshell as the USAID Southern Africa Trade and Investment Hub. Next slide, please. So in terms of why we are here today, this is the roadmap for our for the next 1.5 hours as we look at how best we can take advantage of the organic certification and share what I would like to call cross-pollination of ideas in terms of the lessons learned and experiences from those that have been there, done that, so that we all end up with more information on how we can actually take advantage of this. The next, soon after my presentation or talk to you, we will have our first presentation, and I'll let Francis, who is actually moderating this session or this webinar, to introduce the speaker, and then that will be followed by the discussions, panel discussions as outlined there, and we hope to be done by 3:30-ish, depending on how we're going to go with the presentation and the moderation itself. And the final session is going to be an introduction to the second series, as well as the closing remarks from my colleague Cosmas Mamonze, who is the portfolio manager for South Africa. And we hope that we will not keep you much longer than that. With those words, I would like to wish us all productive discussions, and hope that you will find this webinar worth your while. Thank you very much. Back to you, Francis.
Thank you very much, George, for our comprehensive introduction to the USA Trade Hub. I wanted to just confirm that we are recording this session. It will be shared on our website, and the presentation that Pauline will give shortly will also be on our website. So if you would like to refer to it later, you can be assured that it will be available, and we will share the details of that a bit later. It now gives me great pleasure to introduce Pauline Raffeton from EcoCert. She's based in the south of France, lucky woman. Not that Pretoria is that bad. And Pauline heads up the home and personal care business in EcoCert. We're in excellent hands. We received many questions from everyone who registered about the process of certification, the costs, the criteria, the requirements. And Pauline is just the lady to help us to get to the bottom of what an organic certification means in the cosmetic sector. So if we can give Pauline the opportunity to share her slides. Yeah, I will introduce the panel after Pauline's spoken to us. There we go. I see your slides, Pauline. Over to you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for this introduction. So today I will talk about the sustainable cosmetic sector and how we act for it. So first of all, a short introduction about the natural and organic cosmetic market. Some figures. Indeed, the natural and organic cosmetic market is a small market within the entire global cosmetic market, which is almost around 400 billion euro. But what we see is that in terms of growth, there is a really a high dynamic within the development of natural and organic cosmetics. As you can see, all the I would say the studies, market studies, shows that they expect for a growth of almost 50% for 2025. And when we look deeper on this natural and organic cosmetic market, for sure there is different situation on the world. Here you have on the figure you can see on the left you can see the repartition of the global market of natural cosmetics by region. And when we look more in detail to each region, indeed there are differences of configuration, I would say. In North America, this is the first market worldwide in terms of natural and organic sales. But indeed, on this market, the certification is not well known, and the certified product only represent only 11% of the total market. In Europe, this is the second market. The situation is really different, also because the first standards of certification were born in Europe. And here on this market, most of the products claiming natural and organic are certified, almost 55%. And this is also because this certification answered to consumer expectations. And when we look at the Asian market, here this is the fastest growing market. It represents only 9% right now, but it seems that in the future it will represent much more in terms of volumes. And the Cosmos certification that I will present today to you is the most popular certification for natural and organic cosmetics. And in terms of representation of the certification, almost 30% of the total natural and organic cosmetics are certified. The rest of the world only represent 4% in terms of volume, so it's really smaller markets. Some few words about Cosmos in terms of organization. Cosmos is an association that owns the Cosmos standard I will present to you. And right now, the Cosmos certification is the most widely used in terms of natural and organic cosmetics. We, as Cosmos, all together, because there is 11 partners, 11 certification organizations that are involved within Cosmos. And we are certifying almost 200 companies for natural and organic cosmetic products. Most of them, as you can see here, are in Europe, but on a global scale, we are covering 70 countries. And what we've seen in 2020, even if there is this major crisis, there have been a growth of more than 40% of cosmetic products that were certified according to Cosmos. Some words about the sustainability. Indeed, as I told you, the certification is a guarantee towards consumer. And indeed, what we see is that more and more consumers state that their purchasing decision is motivated by ethical values and authenticity of a company. That means that not only in terms of formulation, in terms of perfume, they are searching for more commitment from the brand which is behind, I would say, the cosmetic product. And there are also 74% of them would like companies to be more transparent on the product supply chain, on staff working conditions, on sourcing, and so on. So this is really concern that are more and more present, I would say, and revealed during these studies. And I would say that this the crisis that we are facing altogether also emphasize this request from consumers. When we look at the press, there are more and more articles related to the sustainability and the needs for sustainability to build the future of the natural and organic cosmetics. And this is not only for some companies. I would say that most of the brands, international group, but also local small companies on the entire cosmetic industry. They are really concerned about facing the sustainability and all the stakes that are related to this major concern. When we look at the different challenges that we have on this sector, there are four major challenges, I would say. The first one is in terms of natural resources preservation. There is a huge interest and concern about biodiversity respect. Lots of companies are trying to source more and more renewable ingredients and to replace the petrochemical ingredients by renewable ones. And there is also a really deep interest in the management of the water use. Then when we talk about sustainability, for sure, the packaging is one of the major and the major point, I would say, major issue. And what we see globally is that there are really packaging rethinking. The companies are trying to reduce as much as possible the virgin plastics, to try to use plastics from recycled sources. They will also, some of them will also try to source plastics from biosourced sources. And there is also a trend of zero waste. That means that the company will not work anymore in a linear economy, but in a circular economy, and trying to develop as much as possible the products that could be have less impact on the environment. And to do so, there is a trend of developing solid cosmetics, as an example, in some countries, such as in Europe, to try to have no more shower gel bottle, but just soap, like several years ago. And there are also new solutions in terms of refillable product or reusable packaging. Companies are trying to develop such loop, I would say, in order to be sure that the packaging will not be a waste anymore. And all of this, for sure, is within the perspective of the climate change impact. And they also, I would say, this is much more the biggest company who are trying to measure their greenhouse gases emissions and in order to try to reduce them. And many companies are trying to move into the direction of the carbon neutrality. And finally, this is one point also really important. It's in terms of consumer education. Indeed, if we want to talk about, and if the companies are developing such or answering to such big challenges and stakes, it's really important for them also to be transparent in terms of communication and to be sure that they will be responsible in terms of communication. Indeed, we don't want them to greenwash. And this is one of the major also challenges for the upcoming years, to be sure that the communication on the different commitment of the companies will be true, so that the consumer will continue to trust the guarantees given by the certification, as an example. Now, some words about the Cosmos certification. So first of all, one point really important is that the certification of Cosmos is something that will go beyond general regulation. That means that an organic or a natural cosmetic is first of all a cosmetic, a safe cosmetic for the consumer. So there are general regulations to be followed. And as an example, in Europe, there is some requirements in terms of declaration of the product, in terms of INCI, and so on. So this is the general cosmetic regulations. And the Cosmos requirements will go beyond by adding some criteria on composition, on the origin of raw materials, on labeling, on manufacturing and packaging. And I will detail it now. So if we look at the Cosmos, the objective of this standard was to give really strong guarantee on several aspects. on environmentally friendly manufacturing processes. So it's really important to take into account green chemistry principle as an example in order to have the best practices in terms of production of the ingredients.
It looks like we've just lost Pauline while we try to get her back. Just to confirm, the slides and recording will be shared on the website. I've posted that there. Also, if you've got any questions, please put them in the chat while you have them top of mind. We will address them in the Q&A session. Let's see if Pauline can join us quickly. Team, could I ask? Oh, there we go. You're back. That was quick, Pauline. You're on mute, but we see you.
Sorry, I think there have been a shutdown at my home. I don't know why. Do you hear me well?
Very well, thank you.
Okay. Do you see my screen? Were you
Yes.
at this slide or not?
Yes, you had
Okay,
started
perfect.
on this slide and you were talking about the first bullet point. Yeah.
Okay,
Thanks.
perfect. So the objective of the Cosmos is to give strong guarantee on several points. One point really important is about the processes, to be sure that we will have the best practices in terms of ingredients and processes that are used during the production of the cosmetic product. The Cosmos standard has also really strong requirements in terms of the use of petrochemical ingredients. Only few of them listed on the as an exemption can be used, so that we will be able to guarantee as much as possible natural origin ingredients within the formulas.
Oh no, who knew that it would not be South African load shedding that would be the issue? See, I shouldn't have been complaining about living in Pretoria. I think perhaps what we could do is, Gerrit, could you just be on standby to come on stage if we don't leave back? Okay. We have Pauline back. There's a bit of echo. Is everything mute?
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I cannot understand. It's written that I'm deleted from the meeting. So I will continue, and I'm so sorry for the attendees.
No problem.
So the objective is really to guarantee as much as possible natural and content. Then there is also requirements on the organic ingredients. We promote natural origin and organic ingredients, all of them from non-GMO sources. And then in addition to this strong guarantee on the ingredients, we have also requirements on the packaging and on the environmental management plan that is implemented by the companies. Within Cosmos, we have two levels of certifications. The first level, Cosmos Natural, as it's written, it's a certification dedicated to cosmetics with a natural content. And the requirements in terms of composition is only to really promote natural origin ingredients. There is no requirement in terms of content from organic origin. And then the second level of certification, the Cosmos Organic one, we have all these requirements, and in addition, we have two more requirements. The first one is that we will look at the entire at all the ingredients, and on the entire composition, 20% of the total ingredients must be from organic farming. This is the first requirement. And then we will look at all the ingredients that come from plant sources. That means that all the ingredients that can be certified organic. And on this content, we will ask that 95% of this product that can be certified organic are really certified organic. So this is a strong requirement, even if it's a bit complicated to understand. But why we have these two requirements, it's because cosmetic is mostly composed of water. So that's why the requirement on the total formula is only of 20%, because when you have 60% of water within a cosmetic cream, for sure you cannot have, you can have only 40% the rest of the composition that could be organic. So that's why we have these double requirements that is a really guarantee of almost all the products, all the ingredients that are used within the production of the cosmetic product are really certified organic. Then in terms of process, it's really important to know that why the certification is a guarantee towards consumer. It's because we will look at all the value chain from raw material to the end product, and we will look at all the steps. And it's also really important to understand that there is a link and a strong link between organic farming certification for the raw materials and from the plants, as an example, and the cosmetic certification. And this is a chain of custody. And we will look at all the steps from the raw materials to the distribution sites. So for the ingredient production, for sure, on the production of the plant is covered by organic farming standards. And then Cosmos will then look at all the cosmetic production, taking into account the traceability, the environmental management plan, the labeling, and so on. Now I will talk about a few words on EcoCert. Just to remind you, EcoCert is one of the leading organizations for organic certification, for organic farming certification. We are in this field, they are really committed to respect people and the environment for 30 years now. And how we work on it is we have several, I would say we guide our clients to eco-responsibility through several ways, I would say, by training companies, by doing consultancy, and at the end, I would say, also certify them. And we are certifying companies according more than 150 standards worldwide. But all of the standards that we are promoting, I would say, through the certification are really selected through a strong process in order to be sure that the social and environmental criteria are the best that we can have on the field. If we talk about the natural and organic cosmetic certification by EcoCert, we have a dedicated team all around the world. So here you can see the different location of the EcoCert group, and where we have people trained for natural and organic certification of cosmetics. So this is a dedicated team for you in order to be sure that we will be able to audit all our clients on a worldwide scale. So EcoCert is considered as the first leading organization for natural and organic cosmetic certification. And you can see here the market share within Cosmos, where EcoCert represents almost 60% of the total certification in terms of product and also raw materials. And the rest, 40%, is shared between the 10 other certification organizations. One point really important also is that we are certifying almost every type of companies, from very small companies to large company. And you can see here that the first, I would say, type of company that are represented in our portfolio are small and medium enterprise. But we really, it's a really important point for us to be able to give the opportunity to each type of company to be compliant to the Cosmos standard. And this is a point that we are proud of. Here you can see the number of products that we certified, almost 30,000 products that are certified according to either Cosmos or the EcoCert own standard that was launched in 2002. The objective of the Cosmos, the EcoCert group is also to be a partnership for all the product development, from raw material certification through different standards to the end product. So we can give you some, accompany you on different approaches, either on responsible sourcing through fair trade or packaging approval or certification. We will look also, we have also dedicated services for detergent. And for sure, we can also accompany you in terms of CSR expertise for the commitment of your company. In terms of process of certification, one point really important is that this is a voluntary approach. That means that the company, each company who wants to be certified, do it on his own. This is a really voluntary approach that means that we are not forcing anyone to be certified, and it's really important that each company is committed to improving their practices. So after the contract, we will have a process which includes an audit, for sure, an annual audit on each manufacturing site, but also on distribution site, not distribution site, sorry, distribution entity. After the audit, we will review the file, and we will also check all the steps, ingredients, formula, packaging, through a documentary check. And then after these two major steps of audit and documentary checking, we will issue the certification, and this will be renewed every year. That means that when you are certified, it's not for once forever. We need to review it every year. During the audit for the manufacturer, we will check the ingredient supply chain, all the production and the production line, taking into account, as an example, the detergent that are used during the process and so on, and for sure the storage and how to ensure that there cannot be any confusion between non-organic and organic raw materials, or non-organic and organic products. With brand owner, we will also audit each brand owner to check the full traceability of the flow, all the documents, purchase and sales, and also the the communication documents and labels. To finish, just a few words about how we accompany you. All the certification is followed on a web tool, and the objective is also that this customer portal is really ergonomic for you. And we will also, I wanted also to share with you the fact that we have an EcoCert learning academy in order to provide to our clients training courses on the different aspects of the certification. So to conclude, the EcoCert certification can be considered as an asset for your for your organization, as our team will ensure from the first audit to the certification that you will comply to all the specification, and that will allow you to claim and to give guarantee to the end consumer about the commitment. The brand, the EcoCert brand of the product, is a well-known, recognized brand by consumer. They know that they trust this brand, and as we are certifying cosmetic products since more than almost 20 years, I would say, it's really the reference of the certification for natural and organic products. Within Cosmos, we are really involved in order to be sure that the evolution of the Cosmos standard will continue to let this standard be the best that we can have on the market. And I wanted also to tell you that we are in contact with many international authorities in order to be consulted when there are regulations that are launched in the different countries and so on. So this is also, we are really involved in acting and in defending this natural and organic cosmetic sector. So now I'm finished. So I'm really sorry about the problems that I've had on the connection, and I wanted to let you know that the local contact of EcoCert South Africa can answer also to all your questions and is available to help you. Thank you.
Thank you, Pauline. I learned a lot listening to you. There's some great questions coming through in the chat, so please keep them coming. Yeah, thank you, Pauline, and you were amazingly quick getting back online. So well done, and well done on not letting it fluster you. We will definitely come back to answer all the questions in the chat. We just want to go to a couple of panelists to get some different perspectives on the discussion. The first panelist is Gerrit Streef. He wears a couple of hats, which is quite helpful in a conversation like this one. He's our country representative in Botswana for the USA Trade Hub, and he also has involvement in a business that exports organic devil's claw into the international market. Gerrit brings hands-on experience in terms of going through this process himself, as well as guiding other companies who are contemplating organic certification in terms of that decision and in terms of preparing for the process. Then Gerrit will do a short opening statement. We will then move to Nampa Nengola, who's the founder and CEO of Teneta Investment in Namibia. Nampa's just completed her organic certification, or the firm has, recently at the end of last year. And so it's quite an exciting journey that the firm has been through. The focus of their business is in Marula, and we'll hear a lot more from Nampa in terms of her experience of preparing and what she considered in terms of that and what she wished she knew when she embarked on this journey. And then our third panelist today is Lily, or Mareka Masule, from Iloto Cosmetics and Iloto Fix Fitness. And as you can see, she brings vast experience from traveling all over to design and develop different products in the natural skincare range, and also muscle therapy for different conditions. So we have a great set of panelists that will share their experiences and lessons with us now. I am going to ask Gerrit if he could put his camera on. He's got one slide that he's going to talk to us about, focusing a bit on the business case. So I saw some questions coming in on the cost. When is it actually worthwhile to make this investment in your business? Gerrit, over to you.
Thank you, Frances, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to give a bit more information about issues related to, let's say, the business case for organic certification. I always say at the end of the day, we are in business. And organic certification should be part of our business model. And for you to do it, you just need to get a few things clear for yourself. One of the issues I think you need to be very clear on is the preconditions in terms of, are you confident that you're able to get your certification through the system? And if, for instance, that's not clear, yeah, then you might waste a lot of time, effort, and money, and it all comes to naught. So again, when it comes to having that confidence, I think you're not alone. EcoCert, for instance, or any other certification body has no interest to take companies through a system, through a process, and then end of the day, they're not certified. So it's something you really need to discuss with the certifying body. There's no cost involved. They will give you the preconditions, and you need to be very clear, can I actually attain that? For instance, if you do organic certification, there could be areas that if you are using your production on land which is non-allowed substances have been used in that land over the last 3 years, you can't qualify. For instance, if you know they use pesticides or they use fertilizers or stuff like that. So again, you need to be clear. Sometimes you need issues related to government attestation. They need to confer certain issues. Again, you need to be clear on that. Often, I think when we do organic certification and organic production, and now I'm talking a little bit from my own experience, Devil's Claw is a product grown in the Kalahari. It's a root in the ground. Nobody there uses fertilizer or pesticides. So we are basically 100% sure it comes out of the ground organic. But the issue is often what happened afterwards. How do they harvest it? How do they clean it? How do they dry it? Where do they store it? How do you store it? If you store it next to some pesticides or on a bag which was used on pesticides, you get contamination. So again, you need to be very clear as a company, is this certification going to be successful? And then talking a step closer to the business case. Yeah, again, organic certification on its own, it's not cheap. Pauline is also not sitting there for free. They need to be paid, so there's a fee you have to pay to Ecocert, but there are other costs. Often there are higher cost of production. Again, if I do Devil's Claw, organic Devil's Claw, I actually have to pay my harvesters more money because they need to do extra work. Again, there's issues with administration. And then often in your factory, because you often not do only organic production, you also have your conventional production. You need to separate that in your factory. Again, that could be investment cost. So all I'm saying is you need to put for yourself, have a very clear picture. Like I already mentioned in the beginning, is it going to be feasible? The second one, like I said, you need to have a look at your cost. And then at the end of the day, like any businessman will probably tell you, the market is always right. It's never really wrong. So the market has to tell you, this is what organic certified product will pay me. It will pay me a premium price. For instance, in Devil's Claw, you get at least €1, €1.50 extra per kg that you are able to sell. And that you need to have to cover your cost for Ecocert and all the other costs. And again, like I said, you're not here for just organic production. You want to make money, so you need to have a good margin on that. And then again, talking about the market, maybe you don't have a purchase order already with a higher price, but your market is actually demanding it. And the market is also not stable. The market is moving. I think Pauline's presentation was very clear. The market for organic certified products is definitely going up. So again, if you feel that that market is where you want to enter, get yourself properly informed. Yeah, in my case, when I did my organic certification, I didn't do it until they had confirmed orders and a premium price. And yeah, again, like I said, I'm not here to prescribe what you should and what you shouldn't do. You all run your own business. I think Ecocert is, and other agencies as well, they are there for you. Like I said, they will be working closely with you even before you sign any contract in terms of how feasible it is, what are the risks, and what is the business case. So my bottom line, and that is really the conclusion, is that there must be a business case to do organic certification. You're not doing it to write on your website that we do organic certification. That doesn't pay you anything. But be serious on that. And if there is, I think organic certification is a growing market, and we as USA Trade Hub are more than happy to work with you in terms of attaining that organic certification. We do provide a substantial part for Ecocert certification cost. Of course, it's not all for free. You have to put money in yourself. It's called skin in the game. Yeah, so that's in a nutshell what I wanted to bring to the discussion today. Thanks.
Thank you, Gerrit. It's always good to hear your practical insights and to hear the perspective of a business that had to take these decisions, and not just to pay a certifying body, but the actual implications of what that means in terms of additional costs of production and other investments in your business. So thanks for alerting us to that. We're going to move over to Nampa now. Nampa and Lily are not using slides. They're going to just talk to us and share their experience. So to kick us off, Nampa, could you please just come on stage? And if you could please tell us a bit more about Tineta Investment and how you came to the point of taking this route. How did you take the decisions which I think Gerrit has outlined so clearly for us?
Thank you, Frances. Please excuse my hoarse voice. I'm recovering from a flu. Can you hear me okay? Frances, give me a sign.
Perfect.
Good. As I was introduced, I'm Nampa Nengola from Taneta Investment. We cold press marula oil, marula nuts to produce marula oil, which we then retail, and we also sell it in bulk, but we sell it as a cosmetic product for skin, hair, and as a massage oil. In 2019, at the beginning, we had an opportunity to form part of the Nancy group that participated in BioFach activity in Germany. And we were not exhibitors, we were on a study tour. But part of that study tour, we were given an opportunity to meet potential clients. Out of the clients we met, I think we had like 15. All of them indicated to us, when you get your organic certificate, we will be willing to talk to you about getting marula oil from you. So that was an indication to us that if we are to talk to these companies, we need to get our oil certified. So that is when we made a decision to pursue the route of getting organic certified. So when we came back in February 2019, we started now researching for what we need to do to get certified. Really, it was not easy to get the information. I don't know why. But we ended up then, applying to EcoCert. We didn't go with EcoCert. We are certified via Ceres for different reasons. Okay, so because this is a learning session, what I'm going to do is just take a few minutes, and Frances, let me know when I'm going over my time. Take the participants through our process, what we did with some timelines, and then I think that will be relevant to the people who want to get organic certified. Our process started with completing an application form. And with the application form, you already indicate where are you. I'm going to go back that we have two processes, because we get our product, our raw material wild harvested. We had to complete a separate organic management plan for organic, for wild harvesting, and a separate management plan for how we are processing. Basically, what the management plan does is giving the certifier an understanding whether you have a chance to be certified, looking at how are these products harvested, like in our case, marula oil. How is it harvested? Where? How are the issues of sustainability? How is it stored, drying? Are any chemicals used? How is it transported between harvesting, storage to your facility? So just to understand and to make sure that you comply with the standards that you're applying for. The same with the management plan for processing. You have to indicate how are you processing, what are you using, what materials are you using to clean, what kind of training have you given to your, whether it's harvesters or your employees. So this is for us, I think this is where most of the work is, because this gives the structure to your organization as well. Make sure you document everything. After the management plans are completed, then the audit will follow to verify and confirm whether what you indicated in the management plan is what is practically happening on the ground. And after that, there's a whole evaluation taking place, and then you get a non-compliance. But these organizations, the certifiers, will give you an opportunity to make corrections. What I also find out is that sometimes, because you have somebody, for example, coming from Europe to do an audit, there is a lot of misunderstanding. So the non-compliance process will also give you an opportunity to clarify. And after everything is clarified, then you get your organic certified. I just want to also mention that we initially, our application was completed in January 2021, and the audit was supposed to take place in April, March. Then of course COVID hit. What this did is it delayed our process, but it also gave us an opportunity to work with the US Trade Hub, because we became then part of the program, and our audit was only done around August, September, when the restrictions were lifted. Quickly, I'm going to go through what I wish I knew or I had. I wish I had more support. There was like support from somebody who was experienced, who went through the process, who can take my hand through how to complete a management plan, and just to know what to expect. We didn't have that. And many people we ask, I think they instill more fear in us instead of, giving us hope. And that is why what I do now, like when I try to give information to people, because I see that information is really not available. And also to come to the end, I think, what has the certificate now brought? We just got certified in December. We have not really, had enough time to experience. But what it did is it gave us confidence in our products to talk to people and say, yeah, this product is certified. And it also opened a lot of doors for us to speak to potential buyers. Secondly, what the process gave us is an opportunity to put structure in our organization. We document everything. We're very careful when we do. We train on an ongoing basis the harvesters. So it really gave us that awareness of what is required by the standards of which we are certified. And yeah, I think that is that. So it then gave us an opportunity to go back to this organization we met in Germany in 2019 and say, hey, now we are certified, we can talk. Yeah, so thank you, Frances. I'll end here.
Thank you so much, Nampa. I think you are giving the gift right here of what you wish you had when you embarked on this by sharing what you're sharing. So thank you. Thanks for going into a bit of detail in terms of the time and some of the elements that you have to focus on in terms of the whole business from start to finish. So I really appreciate your inputs. I know we're going to have lots more questions coming up, so I'm going to go to our final panelist, Lily or Mareka, and she again will introduce her company, explain a bit where she's at in this journey. She's not quite at the same stage yet, she's nearly there, and we would love to hear about the same topics. How did she embark on this? How did she decide to do this? What she wish she knew, and what does she hope to get out of this? Thanks, Mareka.
All right. Can you hear me before I start? Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome. My name is Mareka, or I go by Lily, whichever is easier for persons to remember. And my experience was quite similar to Nampa's. However, we haven't obtained ours yet. Emphasis on yet. Speak things into existence. So basically what's been happening is, well, the process was the same. Thank you, Nampa, for sharing what you went through, because it's pretty much what we also went through from start to finish in terms of preparation. But how we went about it was quite tedious. The motivation behind it is, number one, wanting to just make sure you have everything needed in order to be where you believe your brand ought to be for you to, you know, take on the world and so forth. So there are certain things that you have to be headstrong about to obtain, and as intimidating as it sounds, you can do it. So that was number one, just seeing that it's part of the processes that are needed for us to get where we want to be on the map. Number two, in terms of just being more exciting, a more exciting brand, a more reliable brand to a lot of our consumers and potential consumers out there, because there's so much insecurity in the world these days. Everybody's trying to copy, replicate, and so forth. So it's just one of the that you also have to do to give your potential clients and existing clients the security that you are absolutely safe, you are doing what needs to be done, and you're not trying to burn anybody's skin. So it was basically what I wish I knew before going about this. It was quite similar, really, to Nampa in a sense of it's this huge international standard, and here you are, the support was really, really minute, so to say. It was more from the organization. Thank you so much, USAID. However, in terms of getting help, as in, oh my gosh, how do I go about this? What do I need to have in place? And I remember hopscotching all over Windhoek, trying to find a space, because I've been operating from home. And so far, the help that I would receive would really intimidating. Like, no, you need to have this lab, this whole cylindrical glasses, and a whole situation, a whole Dexter's laboratory going in. You know, we're there with blenders and wooden sticks. So it was very like, will I even go through phase one? Like, what am I doing? However, after really seeing that, after going through the list that Nampa drew in terms of all the steps and what needs to be in place before you start your audit, seeing that we actually have these, just in a different form. So it might not be a 2-story huge lab or anything, but it's a space. Number two, it might not be a crazy machine that pops out like 50,000 capsules a second, but it's a blender and it works. Something comes out of it. And number three, I might not be able to have like 100 people running around the place, but I have like 3-4 people and they're working. So really seeing that you don't need to be at a certain something materialistically in order to meet a certain requirement. So what really helped, and we did thankfully have such a great impression on our auditor in our 1-bedroom flat, mind you. We had to just come to terms with the new place I moved into. Thankfully, it was a different location. Turned it upside down. I sleep in the one room. I cook in the other room for our retailers. But setting it up, completely DIYing it, and actually just feeling more excited that it's something that you did and something that you could actually pull off, and having all these environmental factors in place and so forth, and really just seeing that as long as it works, that's really that matters, and then you scale up from there. So to students, the voices is definitely something I wish I knew prior. Take what makes sense, but don't make it sound like what you have at your disposal is not it. You will be surprised to see that you $1.15, if I have to put it that way, and that is exactly what I did. We had a very positive audit review, surprisingly. So that was just for me to really tell everyone out there who is telling people to get a certain something or feeling like you need to get a certain something, that You just start with what you have. What would I have done differently? Well, this was just more based on, number one, from a personal perspective, in a sense of not being too much in my own head, but it's normal. But number two, based on the report, since we are still going through everything and fixing some of the conformities that we found that came with the report. So we had, thankfully, only 2 major non-conformities, which is apparently really good for a first-time small business to receive after having less than 2 months to start and do a whole lot of magic. And these 2 were basically what Pauline presented on. Number one is traceability. Just saying that there's a lot more detail that goes into just, oh, I have this is where I keep products, this is the shop I buy my raw materials from, but you really have to take into account every little detail and just getting as much help as you can in terms of recording. It's not just about keeping your receipts or making sure your barcodes, but just really recording every single batch number, having your own. So there were more details I did not know existed, or rather I thought were applicable up until, it came and did this. So that's something that I wish I had done differently in terms of recording. And number two, our other was really paying more attention to suppliers. That's a big one. So that was our second major nonconformity that we're also busy working on right now. And with that said, it ties in with the support, as Nampa mentioned. Being where we're located, it has its pros and cons. Well, the con in this department was really saying that they're very strict with your raw material sourcing. Iloto Cosmetics, oh shoot, I did not introduce the business. So we basically manufacture hair products, skincare products such as cream, shampoos, muscle therapies, and so forth. And we are buying lodges like Gohagana Spa, they're making products there. Super Samura Lifestyle, also stocking our products in a few other local outlets. So technically, we have to take care of people and help them really take care of their skin and hair and help them improve their longevity by using organic sourced beauty products, just to focus more on so now we do finished products. So our problem was saying raw materials here, even though we've been sticking to Dis-Chem, which is a normal supplier, and I'm sure a lot of us basically use a lot of local retail outlets, but saying that they are certain, Pauline mentioned, that even though it's a consumer, but really saying that with everything you do, it has to come from a credible source, and you have to actually prove it. So to anyone who's been in manufacturing right now, you have to prove where you get your raw materials from.
Lily,
it is.
Sorry to interrupt you. Your line's breaking a little bit. I'm wondering if you could maybe turn your video off, because I think there's just the bandwidth's not so good. Then we can hear you better. Thanks.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. It will be better now. I hope this will be better. So yeah. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so basically just making sure that every person you work with is of credible source. So now we're actually forced to switch suppliers, even though Dis-Chem was just a 2-minute drive from here. It was quite convenient, but we had to still make sure we had every single certificate. Nampa's in a position where she's a supplier. So I basically have to make sure I have to work with people like Nampa, who can actually give me her certificate to say that the oil that I'll be using into my finished product is actually being certified. So that's a challenge that we're currently trying to overcome now. It's part of what we have to give back so that we can proceed and get our actual certificate. So those are our 2 challenges that we're facing at the moment. However, it was quite exciting to see that it wasn't as bad as people think it is. Everybody can do it. It's just a matter of focusing. As Gerrit said, do your research, compile what you have to compile. It's not a process that should be rushed at all. It's a once-off opportunity, or not once-off, but it's really major. Really take your time with it. It's quite tedious, but it is definitely doable. And I would like everybody to be a part of it, as it's a great investment. It really is. Gray hair, but you get beautiful gray hair. Thank you so much. That's all I have to say on my end.
Thank you so much, Lily. I really appreciate the fact that you also just being transparent about the journey and the fact that you've got non-conformities that you're dealing with. And thank you for sharing that. I think there's so much to be learned in understanding those elements of what needs to be in place and kind of going through that. And I think what really stands out for me is that your business has been pushed quite heavily in terms of formalizing. So it's really a holistic influence on the business if you go this route. So thank you very much. We have so many questions. We're going to go straight into Q&A because we've got plenty of questions. I'm going to ask our respondents to please keep it as concise as you can so we can get through as many questions as possible. I'm going to ask Pauline to answer one question first. Pauline, can you just talk a bit about the difference between organic certification that we might be familiar with from other sectors versus Cosmos certification? What's the difference between an EcoCert, normal organic certification versus Cosmos? Thanks.
Yes, no problem to talk about this subject. Indeed, the difference is the scope. An organic certification, what we call an organic certification, and what are the services, the major services that are developed by the EcoCert group concern organic farming certification. So this is for products that are within the scope of the organic farming regulation. When we talk about Cosmos, we talk about cosmetic product. So for sure, for cosmetic product, this cannot be certified according to organic regulation, except some products in some countries where the organic regulation is not dedicated to only organic farming products. And but I would like to say also that there is a link between the two, because when you are applying for the Cosmos organic certification for your cosmetic product, you can use organic farming ingredients which are certified according to organic farming regulations. That means that if you want to use, I don't know, an olive oil or a marula oil, and if it's certified according to organic farming regulation that are relevant, I would say that we have a list of organic farming certification that we recognize, then this ingredient will contribute to the organic content of your cosmetic product.
So it touches a bit on some of the questions we've been seeing in the chat about your supply and how do you know that you've got a reliable organic supply that's going into the manufacturing process. Can you talk a bit to that as well in terms of some of the questions that you've probably been following there, but it's really about farmed products versus products that are collected like the devil's claw in a natural, from the natural environment. How are those nuances handled in the certification process?
Sorry, I didn't get you. What is the question?
I think what's the difference between if you have a product that you farm and you follow an agricultural production practice from start to finish versus a product which you collect from the environment, a natural product where you would obviously have to have controls around the collection of a natural ingredient. How do you deal with that in terms of the certification process?
Okay, so this is much more a question for Daniel than for me, because this is according to the organic regulation. But there are solutions in order to certify either wild collection of plants, and solution to certify also the organic farming products. And the requirements may be different, but there are still solutions to be able to have this product considered as organic. Maybe Daniel, I'll let you discuss about this.
Thanks, Pauline. Francis, if it's okay, I don't mind answering.
Yeah, please go for it. Bonus panelist.
Okay. Hi, everyone. In terms of it gets quite confusing in terms of organic certification versus Cosmos certification, because there's an overlap, like Pauline mentioned, between the two. And she mentioned the scope of organic certification, and this is especially in terms of the EU, this is focused on food products, not necessarily cosmetic products. So this would mean you wouldn't a cosmetic product with more than one ingredient, in terms of if there's certain ingredients needed to make it a cosmetic product, like a shampoo or a soap. These ingredients would not be allowed in the food standard, because these are not ingredients that you can eat or consume. So therefore, there's two separate standards that's been created. The one is for agricultural food products, and this is what we refer to generally as organic certification. And the other one being specifically focused on cosmetic products, allowing certain ingredients that wouldn't be allowed in the food standard to also be allowed to be able to classify your cosmetic product as an organic product. And you get the two different Cosmos standards. The one is Cosmos Natural and the one is Cosmos Organic. And for Cosmos Organic, they actually check the amount, the specific ingredients, the agricultural ingredients in your product needs to be from organic farming. Whereas if you have a Cosmos Natural product, it needs to be natural products, but not necessarily specifically from organic farming. So I think this is the major difference between the two. Some products like marula oil, for instance, would fall under both categories, because on the one hand, it can be used as a food product, but it can also be used because it's a single ingredient. It can also be used as a cosmetic raw material.
Brilliant. That's a great example. Thank you for clarifying. It's a pleasure. Great. Yeah, super. Then I think another one for Pauline is the certification, does it only cover plant-based cosmetics?
No, it's not necessarily plant-based cosmetics. We have we can also accept ingredients for all other origin, such as minerals, if we talk about makeup products as an example. And there is also some products from algae. So there are also other origin, but to be honest, most of the ingredients that are used are plant-based ingredients.
Okay, great. We've got a question, and it also came out in the registrations around the cost of undergoing an audit. Can you talk about some of the parameters? I know it varies depending on the size of the company, etc., but can you just talk to a range or give some indication in terms of cost?
Yeah, for sure. Indeed, it's really difficult to answer with one cost, because as you've mentioned, it depends on the size of the product. Either you have one product to be certified to 10 or 50 products. For sure, the time necessary to be able to do the certification will vary. And we will also, it will also depend on the steps that you are covering. That means that if you are a manufacturer, for sure, the audit is much longer, because we look at all the production chains, the storage of the ingredients, and so on. And this is not the same time of audit for a brand owner, on which we will look only to the traceability and the communication documents. So the size of the project will influence the price of the certification. The size of the company also, because there is not the same risk depending on the type of the company, and to finish the steps covered by the company. So these are the main factors that influence the costs.
Super, thanks, Pauline. And at what stage can a company ask for a quote if they're thinking of this and they want to get a clearer view of what it would cost for them? If they're still kind of considering going through this process, would it already make sense for them to ask for a quotation?
Yeah, for sure. This is for free. They can ask for a quote. They just need to have to provide information about the company, the size of the project, and who will be involved within this project. As an example, if they on our website, there are all the companies already in contract with us. So if they work with the manufacturer already engaged, for sure, they can indicate it directly. And I would say that the process should be shorter because the manufacturer is already in contract with us and already knows all the process.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. So the parameters of the size of the company, the amount, the role in the value chain that the company plays, and how like integrated it is backwards and forwards, and I guess the number of sites as well.
And I would say to complete this point, I think it's also important not to contact the certification organization at the end of the project, because it's really important to be in contact with us at the beginning of the project to be sure that the ingredients that you will select or the packaging that you have in mind will be in compliance. And as I've mentioned, we have some training sessions. So even if you are not ready to begin the certification, you can apply for training to be sure that you will have all the information to be able to develop the product within the right criteria.
Thanks, Pauline. I had a question on that. I'm jumping the queue. It's the joy of being the moderator. How do you deal with, I know in certification bodies, you probably have different departments that do training and consulting, and then the auditors do the audit. Is it because you can't be auditing yourself on advice you've given, right? How do you separate these different services within EcoCert?
Yeah, we have a dedicated subsidiary in charge of the training and consultancy. This is Des Enjeux des Hommes. It's a French word, but this is one company dedicated to these two activities, which are, as you've mentioned, not compatible with certification activities, as we must be impartial. And the Cosmos certification is, we are accredited by an international accreditation body to deliver this certification, and they look at our impartiality within the certification delivers.
Great, thank you. I want to just highlight that because we've had situations where we have companies applying for support from us for an audit, and then we discovered the certification body doesn't have any international accreditation. So if you're looking for a partner in terms of consulting and training and certification, please make sure that you ask questions around the accreditation of the certification body before you decide.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we've got so many questions. Let me quickly see. What does NANCI stand for? Dagmar, you here? Would you like to come on stage and just talk to Nancy briefly? I'm putting you on the spot, but since you are our partner on this webinar event, we would love to hear from you. In the meantime, it's the Namibia network of the cosmetics industry. But they also include beauty and healthcare products. Dagmar, I think Dagmar may have dropped off. She was having some trouble. So yeah, it's a network organization in Namibia that represents different companies there, a membership-based organization that does a lot to address knowledge management, market linkages, and other issues for the business in Namibia. So it's a great example. In Botswana, we also have the National Products Association of Botswana. In South Africa, Cosmetics, Toiletries and Fragrances Association. These are very useful organizations when you're going through an investment like this, because often some of the members have had to deal with similar issues. I saw a hand earlier and it looks like the person's put their hand down. Are there any other questions that I've not covered adequately that have been in the chat? Mary, please introduce yourself and ask your question. We are down to the wire in terms of time, so I think this will be our last question for the day. Please go ahead, Mary.
Okay, thank you so much. And again, I want to thank you for responding to my first question, but I also want to check. I'm Mary Motibang, actually from the Ministry of Trade and Industry, Lesotho. I just wanted to check if we have a group of producers producing from the same type of product, could they jointly request a certification or apply for certification? Thank you.
Thanks. Great question, Mary.
This is for Daniel.
For Daniel. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for helping me.
Okay, so in terms of group certification, it's definitely possible because you're going to look for organic certification, whether it's either agriculture or wild harvesting. And it is possible to apply for this in groups. We call this organic grower group, or in short, we call it an OGG. And in this case, what you need is to make sure that you've got an internal control system to control all the growers. So it means that we're not going to give a certificate to each of the different growers. Let's say you've got a group of 500 growers, and you and they, each of them, maybe they have half a hectare plot of land and they're producing a crop. And then part of the ICS team, one of the things that you would need to do, there's lots of requirements, but one of the most important requirements is that you would have an internal inspector or an auditor or a field officer that would need to visit each of these farmers at least once a year to make sure that they comply to the different standards. So your internal person needs to be aware of the rules, and then you would have one external auditor here, and this auditor, so it would be from EcoCert or another certification body, would come in, but only inspect a sample of. So it currently it's the square root of the total number. It's going to change with the new EU regulation. It's going to change to 5%, which is normally a bit more, but currently it's at square root. So basically the external auditor is just checking that your internal control system is working. So it won't be that the external person who needs to visit all of the different farms. So it is a much cheaper way of certifying a large group compared to each specific grower having a certificate.
Thank you. That's really helpful. I am going to call the end to the Q&A session. Unfortunately, this has been very interesting. Thanks, Daniel, for jumping in. It now gives me great pleasure to hand over to Cosmos Mamunzi, my colleague who is the portfolio manager in South Africa, to talk a little bit about some upcoming webinars that we have planned in the cosmetic space, and also just to let you know where you can get hold of any resources that are of interest to you. Before I hand over to Cos, I would like to thank Pauline, Daniel, Gerrit, Nampa, and Lily for your contributions, for sharing with us so willingly. We really appreciate it. And with that, over to you, Cos, to wrap us up. Thanks.
Right. Thank you very much. And thanks very much to the panelists and the speaker and the participants. As Francis indicated, so we have discussed certification and been enriched by those who have traveled the organic certification path. So we would like to take this to another level. So we are talking webinar number 2, which will be buyer focused. This webinar is penciled in for June 9th. It's still provisional, but once the date is firmed up, obviously, this will be communicated to you. The second webinar is in partnership with the SA Consulate General in New York, and also other partners that I will mention later. This structure of this session, just to go through 2 segments. The first segment will be on market intelligence. So this is just a 30-minute session where we'll have someone from the US and someone from the region to give industry perspective. And we'll also have a logistics company and organizers. We're trying to rope in organizers from some of the key events
such as the International Beauty Show, IBS, the Natural Products Expo, for especially the personal care section. And that's the market intelligence session. Then the second session then will be buyer-seller engagements, which we dedicating a full hour to this, and we targeting buyers from retailers, sourcing agents, and manufacturers. So our target is at least 6 US buyers, at least 2 from the retail section, at least 2 from ingredients, at least 2 from manufacturers that are looking for private labeling arrangements. And the idea is to have the regional exporters, those that are export ready, to have 3 or 4 suppliers, 3 or 4 regional suppliers meet with a US buyer. So that's basically the upcoming event. Let me also mention that there's been a call for supplier profiles. We need to send out profiles to the consulate so that they can present these to the prospective participants, prospective buyers. So if you haven't submitted your profile, we kindly urgently ask you to do so, share with us, reach out to your in-country teams. In a nutshell, let's make a date. An invitation will be sent out to you in due course. An invitation will be shared. Right. So moving on, this event and other events that we have conducted, the recordings, you can access them on our website, the www.satihub.com. So you can have access on. You can access our events, recordings, other documents on that website. And then you also, for correspondence, please feel free to reach out to your in-country USA TradeHub teams. In each of the 8 countries, we've got country teams headed by country representatives. So those are the details. Reach out to your respective country representative for information, for following information, and for support towards organic certification. Right. Allow me to just once again thank our speakers. Thank you so much, Pauline. You touched on the trends and the processes. Our panelists, Gerrit Nampa and Mareka, you shared your experiences, your lessons, and there was emphasis on sound business cases, and from Mareka, Lily, that the process is anyone can do it. Thanks for that message of hope. And our partners as well, SA Consulate, General in New York, EcoSet, Nancy, among other partners, and more importantly, to thank the participating firms. This is the reason why we are having such sessions. And also even the follow-up session in June, it is to make sure that our regional companies crack it into the markets that require cosmetics, that require organic and natural cosmetics. So allow me to say thank you to all of you. Thank you.